I can't really hear what they're saying.
Okay.
So we're live now, guys. So good morning, everybody.
Good
My name is
morning.
Balki Salaudin, and I'm going to be your moderator for this, let me say, side event for COP. So I'll just give us a little bit of run through of what COP26 is before I introduce the amazing panelists that we're going to be having this conversation together. So the 26th Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, that is UNFCCC, more commonly known as COP, which is the 26th, is taking place currently in Glasgow, and that's Scotland in the UK. And COP26 is bringing together, government, business owners, local authorities, civil societies to discuss global climate action and how each country is contributing to a sustainable climate action and net zero. So at COP26, as you all know, we need to work together to enable and encourage countries affected by climate change to protect and restore ecosystems, build defenses, warning systems, and resilient infrastructure and agriculture to avoid the loss of homes, livelihoods, and even lives of the people. So this year's cup, we had a pre-cup, and that was majorly for young people, and this one is a combination of the young people and every other person, world leaders, to understand what their commitment is and how we can all collaboratively take action. So COP26 is actually very important to us in Nigeria, so as to strengthen our climate finance, climate negotiation, and adaptation. This is why we're having this call um, to have a sort of how are young people taking action? What are the things that young people are doing to ensure that we are not, to ensure that climate change is not really affecting us as much as it used to or is currently affecting us. We've seen issues of flooding, erosion, deforestation, and many others, in the country. And just for a fun fact, not maybe a fun, but a fact that Africa contributes only about 3% to 3.5% of the carbon emission, but we are greatly affected in the world in Africa. So yeah, I'm joined by Doyisola, Oluwaseyi, and Mayokun. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Yes. So can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, brilliant, brilliant. So I'll just do a quick run through so that you guys can be familiar with who these amazing young climate actors are in Nigeria and how you can probably connect with them and the work they do. So I'll start by introducing Oluwaseyi Moijo. I hope I pronounced that very well, pardon. He's a 20-year-old environmentalist, global change maker, and law student who is passionate about changing the narratives pertaining to the plastic pollution and climate crisis in Africa and the world through building grassroots solutions and spurring meaningful actions. She is the executive director of You Recycle Initiative Africa, a youth led organization committed to advancing environmental education, circular economy, and make climate action across Africa. Oluwaseyi is a National Geographic Young Explorer, a 2021 Global Teen Leader at We Are Family Foundation, a High Seas Alliance Youth Ambassador, and a recipient of the 2020 Youth in Development Fellowship by Sozo Network, sponsored by the US Embassy. That's the amazing Oluwaseyi. Ooh, I'm so excited. I know you guys are also excited. I mean, yeah, we're doing a lot at 20. So we have Doyisola Ogunye. Doyisola Ogunye is the founder of Mental and Environmental Development Initiative for Children, a non-profit organization focused on inculcating environmental and social values for the overall development of the Nigerian child. Having obtained a first degree in law at the University of Lagos, She has been able to carve a niche for herself as an advocate of sustainability. So Dorisola was one of the selected goalkeepers at a recent gathering of like minds hosted by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in Johannesburg, South Africa.
So now
They
they
did
knew that there was no way
an
out again.
activity,
So today again, they started another one.
numerous. Sorry, please, can you mute?
The network is back.
Whose noise is that? Thank you. And numerous projects sponsored by non-profit organizations in and outside the shores of Nigeria. Doisola is passionate about wildlife conservation. She started rescuing sea turtles, since 2015 and started the Sea Turtle Sanctuary in 2020. She has been an advocate for aquatic wildlife ever since. Doinsola has a long profile. So in 2019, Doinsola founded the Raiseway Initiative, the recycle scheme for women and youth empowerment, a buyback, a buyback recycling program to empower women and youth. The initiative has successfully been accepted by the Lagos State and the Ondo State governments. The Salads profile is actually very long, so just to keep it that short. We have Mayakun, hails from Ilaje local government area of Ondo State. He bagged an MSc in Environmental Control and Management from the prestigious Obafemi Awolowo University, where he's currently running a PhD in the same discipline. He is an ardent greening and sustainable development promoter. He founded Plug-in Nigeria Club on June 2nd, 2018. Plug-in is a combination of jogging plus picking liters for body fitness and environmental cleanliness. The club, as an organization with over 1,500 volunteers, is currently present in over 20 higher institutions across Nigeria with two community clubs. Yes. So Miracle is an unrepentant dendropher who passionately and professionally leads action for an environmental sustainability conscious world with intentional actions driven towards its fulfillment by individuals and institutions. So guys, drum rolls. These are my amazing guests today. So hi Sola, hi Sheyi, hi Mayokun. Are you all here? All right, good. Okay, so let me start with you, Oluwaseyi. What do you think about the growth of COP 21 to COP 26?
Okay. So I was privileged to be able to attend COP26 this year with the support of RSPB, a UK nonprofit, and so far, COP has been like short of my expectations on a very long, a very very huge way in terms of people were hoping that COP would like deliver on a lot of things, but so far it has just been the same talking and commitments, and even one of the major theme of COP has been the fact that a lot of people need like the world, not just people, but basically the world, people, planet, and nature need urgent action from our world leaders to solve this issue of climate change. And we've had governments giving like commitments of 2030, 2050, 2060, 2070. I think one even said the second half of the 21st century, like very distant dates when we already have climate justice happening now. Um, and basically, on a personal level, I've actually been very disappointed with how COP has been, but I find solace and encouragement and hope in the youth and the people collaboration have been able to make so far, and basically the youth, because so we had a strike on Saturday and it rained heavily. Okay, it didn't really rain heavily, but the weather was very unstable. It rained, it was very windy and chilly. It was sunny, like the weather was just very confusing, but people still showed up in their numbers to strike on the streets of Glasgow, which just shows how people are really, especially the youths, are really passionate about bringing change, and we're hoping that we'll keep on putting pressures on our governments in hopes that, because for instance, there was something they promised in COP21, which was the 100 billion finance from the US, and up till now, nothing has tangibly been done about that to give to developing countries to help them adapt to the climate crisis. But unfortunately, nothing has been done about that. And when Obama came to the conference, a lot of climate activists were asking him, okay, we've heard all your promises. Where is the money that you promised in COP? In that was about, I think that was about 6 years ago. I think, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think 6 years ago. Someone was probably 12 years then, and now, okay, I was probably 8 years then or something. I can't even do the calculation very well because I can't. But basically, time has gone, and there's a lot of things that hasn't been done. It has just been talking and promising with nothing to show for it. So essentially, people were hoping that this COP would be like more of actions, but so far it has not really met up that expectation. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that we have someone on ground, and I'm happy that you're giving us like a life observation that you have seen so far. This is this last week of COP26, and we cannot allow COP to be another flop, because we have another 1 year to adapt to the flop that COP26 is going to be creating. So if COP26 creates goodness for us and sustainability, financing, and all of that, we'll be able to combat a lot of things in the next 1 year before COP. And if COP flops, I mean, that means we have to now individually put on our trousers, tight it, and make sure that we will continue our own advocacy in our little way. Thank you so much, Moluwashe. Very quickly, Mayokon. Mayokon, are you here? All right, let me just jump to Doyin Sola. Doyin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good
Okay, your
morning.
volume, mic is not audible.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, okay.
Yes. All right. So, Joey, I mean, you have a very beautiful profile. I'm really inspired. When I was reading you guys' profile yesterday, I'm like, oh, yay, beautiful people. I'm gonna be
Thank you.
conversing with today with amazing work. So, what can you tell us about the work you do and how you're achieving climate justice through the work that you do in your organization?
Okay, so very briefly, I started doing this when I was 22, a couple of years ago, I think about 12 years now. And I have been very passionate about recycling, tree planting, the issues concerning global warming and also climate change. We can only do the little we can, and I'm very happy that you looking at the profile, you've been able to see, the length of work that we've been able to do. I don't do these things alone. I have volunteers from all over Lagos, all over Nigeria that actually come to support what we're doing, and there are young people being passionate about the environment.
Doing
Yeah, can you hear
hello.
me?
Yes, yeah, it's a little bit, the network is a little bit cracky from your hand, but I want to know what are the challenges that you faced since you started the organization in Nigeria, and how do you think you can get better at it? Looking at the atmosphere in Nigeria when it comes to civil society, NGO, social enterprises.
I didn't really get the question correctly, but what I heard was challenges. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Chal-
So I'm saying that what has been the challenges for you and your organization with your work, and how do you think you can get better at it, to combat these challenges, considering the fact that the atmosphere in Nigeria when it comes to NGO, civil society, and social enterprises is a little bit dicey.
Okay, and first of all, the most important challenge, the most difficult challenge rather that we've had is the fact that advocacy and sensitization is not getting to to, to the amount of people that we wanted to reach. We have advertised, we have gone on social media, but a lot of people still don't know why we're doing what we're doing. They don't even know what we're doing and why it is important for everyone. So that's the most important, that's the most difficult challenge we've been able to, we are actually facing right now. We're also having challenges of funding, because to scale anything, you need funding to scale. And the fact that we've been consistent, and the fact that we are still doing what we're doing, is actually showcasing us to the world, but we need to scale. And it's very, very difficult to scale without the funding that we need.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think you have a valid point. Um, okay, Mayakun, can you hear me? Mayakun is saying that his
Yes,
video is
yes,
on the
Balakis, I
internet.
can hear you.
All right, that's fine. I just need to be sure that you can hear me. Thank you, Dorinsola. I'll just move very quickly to Mayokon. I don't know, Doyin, you might want to like off your video so that the bandwidth can be better, because network is a little bit cracky from your end, and I had to struggle to hear everything you said. All right, so let's move quickly to Mayokon. So Mayokon, I know that your club is one of the leading force for environmental cleanliness in the country right now, and you have a good strength of volunteers and all of that. Can you tell us what has been the challenges over time, and how you guys are adapting, and also ensuring that everyone at every state, every school, everybody's carried along when it comes to environmental sanitation, cleanliness, and the likes?
Okay, thank you very much, Balakis. And pardon the coming on and off. And in case you hear some background noises, I'm actually in a public place, but this is where the network seems best. So plugging Nigeria, one of our major challenges has been funding, because to continue to scale, to get the message to more and more people around Nigeria. But we've been doing our best. We've been getting little support here and there, but we really need more funding to push what we are doing to the frontiers of all universities and all many more communities around Nigeria. And also another major issue, because our organization is one that whose the focal point is on waste management, responsible waste handling, sustainable waste management. In the whole talk about climate change, most times the focus is on emissions, industrial emissions, transportation emissions, agricultural emissions. Not so much attention is given to waste management per se when there's a discourse about climate change. In the recent Nigeria nationally determined contributions document that was published, submitted to for COP also, it was mentioned that 9% of Nigerians' total emissions come from the waste management sector. So we need to have more discussion in the angle of waste management towards climate change. And like I said, we've been doing our bit to continue to get the message to young persons around campuses and communities around Nigeria. It's not been easy. The acceptance even from the young people, there's, oh, how can a young fine boy like me, young beautiful lady like me, go about speaking to us and all that? But we've been making progress. We've been able to help change people's orientation, and hopefully it continues to get better.
Yeah. I mean, that's a brilliant one, and I can tell you that you're not the only one facing this all. Or how can I be this beautiful and I'm picking that trash? A lot of people have issues with that, but that's not the point. I mean, we're all trying to save the planet. So, Michael, still with you. Why do you think COP26 is important, and to us in Nigeria, and why must it not be a flop?
Okay, why I think COP26 is important, because there's never a better time. Pardon the background noise, because there's never a better time to talk about saving the environment than the present moment. And any action, whether national, local, national, or global action or efforts being made at a particular time to salvage what's left of the planet, to make us not get to that tipping point, is very important. So COP26 is the roundtable for that global discussion right now. So it's a time where it's an opportunity we have to actually make very sound decisions and create sound action plans to rescue the planet from going on the brink. And for us in Nigeria, yes, it's an important time to negotiate. It's an important time to call the attention of the world to the challenges we are facing from climate change. And we know that most of the challenges we face are not as a result of our own activities. So there's an opportunity to speak with these major polluting countries, industries, and all of that, and see how we can adapt better. Speaking from personal experience, I'm from a community in Nigeria where we feel the adverse effects of climate change every day through sea level rise from a coastal community in the states. So this presents an opportunity to be able to negotiate for adaptation measures, and all the support we can get to survive and to cope with the impacts of climate change.
Yeah, I like that you're able to, use a life experience to attribute your point, because I also have lived at every point of my life. I've lived in areas where they're good, not so much environmental pollution, but when you go out and you visit other places, you see that there is a lot of calamity when it comes to environmental protection. I'm sorry, pollution in this country, flooding. I remember there was a time like that. I was going um I was going from Ikeja to Allen, and if you're familiar with Lagos, you know that Ikeja to Allen is not that far, but because it rained heavily, not currently. That time it was not currently raining, but it was raining, and then the following morning, that was when I went out. Going out, I was inside Uber. Oh my God, I paid excess because we spent nothing less than 3 hours inside traffic between Ikeja to Allen. I mean, that was a lot because there was water everywhere. There's no proper drainage system. And everybody just do, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care, which shouldn't be. We all need to be responsible at a point in time to ensure that our action is not affecting other people's daily action or activity. Imagine people who had to travel, or people who had to go to the hospital for an emergency, and were inside traffic for 3 hours because of flooding, erosion, and all of these things. I mean, these are things that we really need to pay adequate attention to. Okay, we're coming out every then and now to say climate change is affecting us, climate change is affecting us, girls can't go to school because of this, that, our food insecurity is there, deforestation is above. Our action, when we talk about it, are we really doing them? Are we practicalizing what we're telling people? So I think those are like my own key point. And then I feel like for COP26 not to be a flop, we need to ensure that our action continues, because trust me, we're still going to have this call next year, and we're still going to say we hope that COP27 is not going to be a flop, because we're not even sure of what the outcome of COP26 is right now. A lot of issues going on, racism issues. We have issues of countries who do not have enough finance, countries who do not even know how to sell the climate issues to the world leaders so that they could get funding opportunity to combat them. These interconnected issues need to be solved, and we must ensure that there's a proper monitoring and evaluation on whatever goes down at COP26 by Friday. So let me quickly go back to, thank you, Michael. Let me quickly go back to Oluwaseyi. All right. Yeah, you're on ground, and you're seeing a lot of climate activists out there. You're seeing a lot of climate advocate, a lot of community mobilizers, young leaders, world leaders, media, and the likes. What do you think is the urgency for climate justice in our country, Nigeria? Looking at
Okay,
what everybody has been saying. Yeah.
okay. So there are a lot of issues that happen in Nigeria that on a normal on a surface level you might not think that it is linked to climate change, right? So for instance, in the southern region of Nigeria, we're facing issues like coastal, what Mario talk about sea level rise, and how the fact that we're having, like when it rains now in VI or Lekki, it's just terrible. People can,
I
some
mean,
people can't
yes,
even go home.
you're very, very
People can't
correct. I
even go home.
remember, yeah, yeah, I remember having a particular event in Lagos in July. Um, Joshua was there, and there was one of our guests was supposed to come from Lekki, down to Magodo, and we just got a call from him that he had not been out for days, so he didn't know that everywhere was flooded in front of his
Exactly.
house. So
So
he was
I,
unable to go
yeah.
out and come attend the event. He had to join virtually. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember seeing a headline, I think on CNN, that said that very soon, I think they said Lagos is at risk of, basically, if you're not careful and things are not being done urgently, a part of Lagos that's the VI area might just be underwater in, let's say, 5 to 10 years from now. And if not, and then people don't really know that this is because of climate change and sea levels rise. I also watched a documentary of how a particular local leader was talking about how the sea was used to be at one point, and how close to shore, like over 100 meters, it has come so close to where they stay, and how people that lived along that shore had to like relocate to other places because of their houses. I've also seen how, apart from in Lagos, how various families across the world have watched their houses fall down in seconds because of climate change. Some losing their loved ones in minutes because of climate change. And back to Nigeria, we're talking about why food is very expensive. Is as a result of food insecurity, also caused by climate change. Climate change may not be the only factor, but it is one of the major factors, because farmers can't even predict, oh, would it rain today, would it rain this month, or would it rain next month? Oh, okay. And when they now finally know, okay, it rains eventually, they have to then, they kind of probably have to make their food prices kind of high, because they still need to make profit, and they still need to fend for their families. So like, it's affecting agriculture in a very, very huge way. That's even in the northern area. There's issue of drought. I watched a documentary of how, one thing I'll advise anybody, if you want to get more informed about these issues and want to see firsthand, see firsthand experience of how this is impacting a lot of people, just watch documentaries, and it will give you a lot of information. So I watched a documentary of how in the northern area drought is really like seeping into their communities.
Okay.
So like, imagine having to dig 20 feet down in order to get water. Like, he kept on digging and digging for over 5 days, if not more, until they finally found water. And because their previous well had dried up, so they had to dig another well again. So like, from drought to, and even the fact that even early marriage is linked to climate change. I was on a particular podcast, and because we had different features of people from different places. So I think I was in Kenya, where someone was talking about how people exchange their daughters for cows because of they're not able to make enough money to fend for their children. Do you understand? These issues are all linked together, from gender, I forgot what they call it. Basically, um I think gender-based violence to, yeah, gender-based violence, and women and female being injustice of women and female, to food insecurity, agricultural issues, and even air pollution, water pollution, land pollution. It's
Yeah.
really getting serious, and our leaders are still talking about 2030, 2040, 50, or 2060. We don't have that much time. We do not have that much time. That means that probably just postponing the issue to when it compounds more, and we do not have that luxury of time. So in my own, as on my own, in my own view, I'm just hoping. I'm hoping that even as they have made commitments, they will actually keep to it. But postponing this issue to being solved on a later year or date, I know we have to be realistic, but just look at how we solved COVID-19 in a matter of 2 years. I know we haven't solved it permanently, but the world united together and tried to bring solutions to COVID-19. And today we can leave our houses and go to our workplaces and do what we want to do. We can meet in gatherings again. If the world unites in that same with that same sense of urgency, we can actually tackle climate change soon enough and offer adaptation measures to countries in the global south like Nigeria. Even the
Yeah.
issue of, I'm going to end on this note, even the issue of herdsmen and farmers. One of the issues too was climate change, because of herdsmen did not have access to like um to fields again to give their herds
Their
to like
cows. Yeah.
graze on. So they had to go to farmers. Farmers had have worked hard to sow their to plant their crops, and then you want to come and eat it. And then normally those they would have just been able to go to any pasture like around, but because of climate change, everywhere is just dry, and there's drought everywhere. There's famine, like
Yeah,
not famine, basically there's drought, and then there's nothing literally growing. Everywhere is just dry. So like they had to go to farmers' places, and that caused a lot of conflict that killed people. So I'm thankful that that issue has stopped. I don't think I've heard anything about that issue so far. But that was also climate change. So if we do not have want to have things like this reoccurring over and over again, we have to take action fast soon. And developing countries have to offer assistance in terms of financing to um developed countries rather, that's the global north, has to offer assistance and financing and support to developing countries, that's the global south, like Nigeria and other African countries and other Asian countries, to be able to adapt to these climate issues and climate injustice, right?
yeah.
So that is because we are just contributing about 33% to the whole emissions.
Mm. We're actually contributing in Africa. We're actually contributing 3%, not up to 33. Yeah, we
Yeah,
contribute
I
like
said
one of the
3%.
lowest. 30.
Yeah.
That's 3%.
But
About
still on that,
kilotons.
sorry to cut you short, but I just wanted to add something. We use that 3% stuff to like our government use that to then delay the action that we need from their own
Yes,
end.
exactly,
I
exactly,
come from
exactly.
my mom comes from Port Harcourt. I grew up in Port Harcourt. I live most of my life. Like I live between Port Harcourt and Lagos most times. And in Port Harcourt, we're having issues of soot caused by gas flaring caused by oil companies. So even though we contributed 3%, we shouldn't just leave oil companies to keep on doing havoc. Oil companies all in the name of saying they want to um um that that's fossil fuel industry activities. They pollute. They're causing environmental injustice on communities, vulnerable communities. They have been trying to demand for their lives, their clean air, clean water, clean land for years. So even right now, as I'm speaking, there are several communities that their waters have been polluted with oil due to oil exploration. And in Port Harcourt, we're having issues with soot, that's air pollution, black carbon in our air. If you go to Port Harcourt, clean your nostrils, you see black substance. Clean anywhere you want to clean. Anything, everything is just black. If you wear a white shirt, very soon it becomes very like you see black stains. Like that is how serious the issue of soot is, and nothing is being done about it. And it's as a result of the oil exploration activities happening. So despite the fact that it's 3%, which I've heard a lot of African leaders hide under and want to like use that as a kind of um advantage
Yeah.
to keep on promoting oil, we still need to make efforts to making sure that those oil companies clean up after themselves and they don't keep on perpetuating injustice in those
Mm-hmm.
communities.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Oluwase, you're very correct, and I totally agree with everything that you said. Especially how we think that the 3% is little. It doesn't make any sense. Even 0.5% is a lot. It's a lot to drive attention and action. And according to World Bank, without urgent action, climate impacts could push an additional 100 million people into poverty by 2030. That means that even all the sustainable development goals that we all are talking about, there is a linkage between the goal 13 and every other goals. There is a
Exactly.
way that if we do not take urgent climate action, which is goal 13, we might not be able to achieve every other goals. Young girls will continue to miss classes because they do not have access to clean water during menstrual period. You're building infrastructures every day that are not climate friendly, and you're saying that you're building infrastructure and innovation. Your zero hunger, herdsmen, farmers are now scared to go back to farm because of the issue of Fulani and herdsmen clashes, and and the farmers clashes in the country. You have issues of, okay, you want farmers to practice climate smart agriculture. Do they have the knowledge? Do they have the tools? Do they have the finance to start it? I mean, there's a lot of things that if we don't take climate action seriously now, and especially understand our adaptation style and structure, we would have 100 million people around the world who would be left, you know, in poverty, and this is one of the things that we're trying to achieve with the sustainable development goals. And on your point where you said health issues, the old oil spillage and all of that in the southern part of the country, there's this words I saw from WHO website. They said the direct damage cost to health is estimated to be between 2 billion US dollars and 4 billion per year by 2030. I mean, we're investing so much in the health sector. And I remember granting an interview during the when the COVID-19 pandemic was on, and people were asking, how do you think COVID-19 is more important than climate change? I mean, I'll tell people it's not. It's just a pandemic that is opening our eyes to see urgency in other crises, such as climate crisis and climate change. If we do not pay attention to it, in every country, especially Nigeria, we invest more, we budget more for health than we budget for the environment. And we do not have that energy of, no, we need to put in more funding into the environment so that we can spend less on health. But we don't understand these things yet, and I pray that it won't take long for us to understand. So let me move quickly to Mayakun again. So Mayakun, I know that Mayakun, are you here? Hi Mayakun, are you here? Are you on the call? Okay, I think Mayakun is on the call at the moment. Okay, Doisola, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, good. What is your opinion about the commitment the government have made towards COP26, and how can this commitment be translated to real action? And I want to give you a flashback in 2019 when the president visited during the UN summit. Yeah, I think it was a gathering in the US in the UN, and it made a commitment of 100 billion trees, which we have not planted 100 billion trees as at 2021 November. So, what do you think? How can in your opinion about the commitment of government, how can this commitment be translated to real action post COP26?
Okay, and first of all, thank you so much for that question. I was aware of that because I do a lot of tree planting in my work, and I know that not one tree has been planted. I know that they're not even telling the story of how they are going to do it. What is the work plan?
Yeah,
Nothing of that such is actually being, mentioned to the public. So for me, it's more like everybody says something fancy and then they go to sleep. And the reason they're able to go to sleep and sleep well is because nobody is holding them accountable for the things that they said they would do. I see, and I'm going to go back to, to young people, especially in this space. I see a lot of TikTok videos of, dance challenge. I see a lot of TikTok videos of XYZ, but nobody is talking about the things that matter. And that's where the problem is. As politicians will be politicians. They would always make those promises, but you have to hold them accountable. So the ball goes back to the young people that need to have a safe place to live. And I was listening when Oluwaseyi was talking about, the flooding and so many things. I got a call 2 or 3 days ago from a man that lives in a village in Akbaki in Ibejuleki. And he said something that really, really hurt. He said it in Yoruba, but I'll say it in English. He said that the water is coming to take his house, and this man
mm,
is blind. He said the water is coming to take his house, and this man is blind. And Ibejuleki is just an hour from Victoria Island, or an hour plus from Victoria Island. So if people think these things are not happening, it's already happening. In toward, I don't know if you know this area very well, towards Victoria Island through Oniru from the back. The ocean
yeah,
is literally on the road. The
yeah,
same way
yeah,
it was during the Babbage times. It's already happening. But we're not seeing videos about those things. We're not tagging the people that we're supposed to tag. Whatever is happening in Glasgow right now is fantastic, but we need to localize it, and it has to come to the local government to say, "Hey guys, what are you doing?" Their SDG has been localized the SDG goals has been localized in Nigeria, right? And it's also been localized in Lagos. And
Yeah.
Lagos is going to be hit if nothing is done. So I would say that everybody should do something. All these promises are fine. I was comparing this to somebody that comes to you and said, please, I'm hungry. And I'm like, oh, don't worry, I'll give you food in 15 days. No, but I'm hungry now. What are you going to do now to make sure that I don't die in next
In the
15
next
days?
15 days, yeah.
Exactly. So if you're saying, okay, we're going to do something in 2030, 2050, 2070, what are you going to do in 2021? We have 2 months left in 2021. What is the plan for young people and the like? Do you get? So I think that's the way we should approach these things. If not, these promises are just going to continue until when, we're dead and gone, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you because there is an urgent need for us to really get serious with climate change. I didn't study climate change. I don't have any educational background in climate change, but I see it as an urgent need for me to contribute my little effort because I also want to live long in a sustainable environment that is conducive. And the only way I can is to make sure that I don't sleep at home when my mates or people older than me or younger than me are on the streets conversing for climate action. And the man that said water is coming to take his house. There's a saying that in Yoruba that when an elder sits down at the root of a tree and tell you that he's saying something, if you as a younger person is on the tree and you say you're not saying that thing, you won't say, because what an elder see sitting down, you might not see is standing. So I feel like these people are also understanding this thing. They know it is happening. They know we are faced with, especially Lagos and the southern. I mean, everywhere in the country we are faced with climate crisis. Yeah, but and we're seeing the changes. But this thing affect us more than one way or the other, more than each other, and we need to put in our effort now so that the damages that we're going to be paying for later will not be so much. And that brings me to policies. I mean, there are policies that are already existing for climate change, environment, and all of these things, but these policies are not working because, trust me, the people that are supposed to make the policies work, they also have a stake and investment. If they pass it into law, it will affect them totally. So they are also trying to be withdrawing, so that they don't do too much in terms of policy, laws, and all of that. But trust me, this is the right time for us to pass those policies, revisit them, restructurize them, and pass them into law to prohibit actions that would continually, contribute to climate crisis in every state. And when I say policies, so if we have a national policy on climate change in the country, that policy might not be applicable to Lagos. That policy might not be applicable to Port Harcourt, might not be applicable to Ondo State, might not be applicable to Kwara, it might not be applicable to other part of the country. But if you have a policy that guides you through, you're able to read and understand and say, okay, this is how this policy affects my own country, this is my own state, this is how the lawmakers can, put it into law to prohibit this action. That way we are moving forward. But not us coming every year and talking about COP and COP and COP. Some people even attend COP for ceremonial purpose. A lot of people are there in Glasgow now wasting their time. Probably not wasting their time, probably having fun doing it. But we all know that our intentions are the ones that should surpass whatever we have in our heart when it comes to climate. Let us take real climate action. If we keep saying that climate change, let us take real climate action. And the time for us to take it is now. And I'm happy that some state governments, a little bit of the federal government, are also ensuring that they collaborate with young people's innovative ideas and advocacies to combat climate change. So here's my last question. And I want to throw it to every one of you. So I'll start with Shay. Just help me keep it short so we don't have wasted a lot of time. And we are open to taking questions from our online audience. So you can just drop your questions in the chat box and we'll attend to them. We'll be happy to read from you. So Shay, this question is for every one of you, anyways. So what role does the youth have to play in achieving the four key themes of COP26? One is adaptation, finance, negotiation, and young people. What role does the youth have to play in achieving the theme of 2021 COP26? Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's already playing most of the role based on the energy I've seen here. So essentially, as Ms. Doyin Sola said, holding holding our government accountable through things like match and also
Mm-hmm.
other various possible ways, and also
Mm-hmm.
educating others, because a lot of people do not know this issue and what it's about and how it's threatening their future and our present also. So also creating awareness, educating your fellow peers too about it so that they too can know how they can take action in their personal lives and keep on demanding for change from the government.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Shay. Thank you for keeping it that short. I mean, at the end of the day, it boils down to our our accountability strength, because the government are there, they're here for us, we are here for them, and we hold the power to where they are sitting. So we should be bold enough to say, yes, you said this at this setting, you mentioned this at this event. How can we now bring it to reality? How can we ensure that proper actions are taken? Thank you, Shay. Up over to you, Mayoko.
Thank you, Balikis, for this question. I think she has answered rightly. I just, well, my network has been disappointing here, but I want to disagree with something you said earlier about maybe Africa holding on to 3% of our total contribution to the emission. Are you saying that it does not make sense that our leaders are holding on to that? I quite disagree with it. It does make a lot of sense, considering that
Hello.
there are countries emitting so much CO2 and
Hello, Mayoko.
we are. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, just to make something clear, yeah. What myself and Oluwasei said was that our leaders are holding on to the 3% as if it is not a big deal yet. Do you understand? They're holding on to it like, okay, it's not much yet, it's not much yet, it's not much yet. Do you get the gist? So we're not saying that they're holding on to it and we're saying it's bad. We're saying that they're holding on to the 3% as if, okay, this is not a big deal yet. At least we're not at 10%, we're not at 15%, we're not at 20%. Do you get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I understand you. Yeah, I understand you quite well. So, to corroborate what she also mentioned, we need to be more accountable, hold our leaders more accountable, and look for ways to enforce setting up internal mechanisms in our country here in Nigeria beyond the whole global roundtable, where we can ensure that industries, companies, and every development is sustainability team. So that's my summary. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Michael. Let's have Doyin Sola.
Okay, thank you so much. I would say on a final note that everyone should bring something to the table. I, for
Mm-hmm.
one, because everybody's different and everybody gets what's it called? Everybody's different. That's number one, and everybody has different ways of getting action or getting people to do things. But I'm a kind of person that put your money where your mouth is. It's good to protest, it's good to advocate, but it's also good to do something, no matter how little. You know, as much as possible, encourage people to plant trees. Plant trees on your birthdays, plant trees in your family house, plant trees everywhere, but let it make a statement. When young people in Lagos State are planting 1 million trees every year, just the young people in Lagos State, it makes a bigger statement than people going to what's the name of this place, Alausa, for example, and protesting. For me, you can protest, but also do something to show that if young people are doing this, what are our leaders doing? You get what I mean?
Yeah,
So that's basically
yeah,
where I want more young people to stand
yeah.
up to people and do something.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you guys, Sheyi, Ulwa Sheyi, Udoinsola and Mayoko. It's been a wonderful time discussing this with you. And I'd like to say that climate change is affecting everybody, everywhere, at every both nature, environment, and people. And there's a double injustice when it comes to uh, we're talking about justice in the country. Women are greatly affected by climate change. At the same time, they are greatly affected by gender-based violence. Same as men, everybody is greatly affected by climate change. So there is a double injustice for us that we need to go out there and combat this injustice and make sure that justice is served, especially in the climate space. So thank you so much to our online audience for joining. I can see Onyedika, Debison, Aliru, Ataru, Stephen, and Laszlo. So Stephen said, we have good policies that are made, but actions are not being taken to ensure these policies are well implemented. I mean, yes, that's what we're saying. We have them, but they're not being implemented. Some people are seeing it as a joke. What I would just wrap this call up with is, as young people, we must ensure that if we're really serious about climate change or any social issue that we're passionate about, it is important that we build our knowledge in that line. As I said earlier when we started this call, I'm not a student, or should I say, I didn't study climate or any environmental related courses. And same as Oluwaseyi and Doinsola, we I personally just find passion in climate space, and I have built my knowledge. I've taken courses, I've asked questions, I've met with people who are knowledgeable in this space than I am to imbibe their knowledge on me, so that when I go out to talk to people about climate change, I'm not going as a novice. I'm going as an educated person who understands climate justice, who understands climate crisis, climate change, adaptation, negotiation, mitigation, amongst many others. So we need to build our knowledge so that when we stand in front of our world leaders and we are asking for justice, they know that we know what we're saying and we're not just blabbering. This would also give us a hedge ahead of any other person. A lot of people believe that climate change is not real. A lot of people believe that climate change is God's made. A lot of people believe that this whole crisis is nothing to be worried about. Maybe the world wants to come to an end and all of that. But trust me, the world wants to come to an end. They've been saying this thing for since I can remember, since I was in primary school. I always think, oh, so when will I grow up? When will I have my master's? When will I have my PhD? When will I get married? I always think about this thing. But here I am today. I'm still alive. The world has not gone to extinction, and we're still here. So for us not to get the world into a bad place that God didn't create, because most of these actions, we are the ones that are the creators. I've been inside cars, I've been at places where I see people use plastic bottles and then they dump it on the floor. I've seen people use nylons and then they just throw it. I've seen market women pile up their waste and dump it into rivers, into the gutter. And then, a lot of things that people are really doing. I did a documentary on charcoal deforestation and all of these things, and I've seen how people are trying to get livelihood from production of charcoal. I mean, what alternative do they have? I granted an interview yesterday on the increment in gas, the cooking gas, and how people are going back to charcoal. I mean, if we are providing solution to climate change problem, we must ensure that these solutions are sustainable enough to accommodate everybody at all level. So yeah, the actions that you can take it right now from your house, from your offices, from your family, everybody. If they know me at home, if you're inside any car with me and you just try to throw out something, I'll be very pissed off. I don't want, even if it's my grandfather or my mom or my dad, they know me already. So let them know you for good. Let them know you that you do not associate with environmental pollution, but you associate with environmental protection. The time for us to take action is now, and we need that urgent action through collaboration, partnership, policies that work for everybody. And yes, that's it. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Nigerian Youth SDGs, for giving us this opportunity to give our voice on COP26. And as I said, you guys should increase your knowledge, read about COP, read about COP26, read about the United Nations, the Sustainable Development Goals, and how the SDG 13 affect every other goals. Read about policies on UNFCCC website. You see a lot of countries' policies there, and the Paris Agreement and every other thing. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful session. Thank you, Oluwaseyi. Thank you, Doinsola. Thank you, Mayokun, for staying tuned. I'm Balki Salaudin, and I hope to see you next time as we talk about climate change. But I hope we'll be talking about how everybody's now really serious. The government, private sector, everybody's now really serious about changes. Thank you.